Welcome back to the next segment of our interview. We're talking about U.S. elections and polling. Barry, the swing states and the Electoral College, if it's a close vote, of course, Electoral College is going to decide it. So talk a bit about Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania. What's happening there and what's going to make the difference?
The audience should be aware, and perhaps they already are, that the election isn't determined by popular vote directly, and certainly not on a national basis. And that's why, in fact, there won't be much advertising going on in big states like New York, Texas, and California. It's based on being able to aggregate 270 out of the 538 Electoral College votes. And whether they win by a narrow margin or a large margin doesn't particularly matter. If you win by one more vote, you get that state's delegation. Ohio, in particular, gets a great deal of attention because Ohio was the difference in 2004. People might remember that Florida was the difference in 2000, but actually New Hampshire, which was also very close in 2000, would have made the difference as well. But there's a whole series of states. Ohio, most prominently, that's probably the first state I would want to see the outcome.
Well, talk about Ohio and what's going to make the difference in Ohio.
Ohio traditionally has been just very much on the cusp of sort of the pivot of which party wins the election. When Republicans win Ohio, they win the presidency. When they lose it, they don't. Basically, that's it. There are other states, but Ohio's a bigger state. Ohio, I'm trying to remember exactly the number, but Ohio is something in the neighborhood of a little over 20, I think, Electoral College votes right now. What makes Ohio particularly pivotal is the fact that it's a good reflective mix of America in terms of rural America, small town America, but also bigger urban centers like Cleveland and Cincinnati. It also represents America better in terms of racial mixes and religious mixes. There are other states, however, that are close as well, and I don't want to make it sound like it's only Ohio. But it's this peculiar institution, the Electoral College itself, which I don't think is a particularly effective institution, but nonetheless is what the Americans have and are going to have into the future. That's why American attention focuses on certain states. What's interesting about this election is there are a few other states which have traditionally been more Republican. I'm thinking particularly of Virginia and Colorado, where Obama has actually been polling much better than Democrats have.
How are they polling now in the
all of the states I mentioned, and I could mention several more. States like Iowa, states like New Mexico, states certainly like New Hampshire, very much on the cusp. All of those states typically were within 2 or 3 points. A few weeks ago, in fact, Obama was leading in most of them. Now, in fact, they're almost all, for the most part, within a point or two. I don't want to mention a particular number for a particular state because tomorrow it'll be different than it was today. But all of them are certainly within the margin of error.
And why do you think he's gone back? Why was he leading? And instead of increasing the lead at a time where you think he should be taking off, why is it in those swing states, is it gone back to even?
Some states are more, Ohio's particularly representative, but by and large they tend to co-vary. That in fact when the Obama's doing a little bit better nationally, he's doing a little bit better in those states. But again, these are the kind of states that are really going to be critical. One doesn't have to worry so much about how Massachusetts is going or New York. Those are states, or California, those are states Obama's going to win. Or comparably states in the Deep South or in Texas or in the Mountain West where the Republicans are going to win. It's in these particular swing states, Ohio being prototypical of them. Michigan's another one where in fact the Democrats usually run 2 or 3 points better than they do in Ohio.
But you would think by now Obama's economic message would have gotten through in Ohio more, would you not? I mean, why is he not doing better? It's really the question everyone's asking.
There are people certainly that are aware of politics, but there's lots of people that aren't. I think the Americans that are going to decide this election aren't yet tuned in. Lots of people are, maybe your audience certainly is, but the kind of people that are going to determine whether or not nationally McCain wins by a couple of points or Obama wins by 2 or 3 points, those people probably haven't yet decided, and they probably won't decide until the presidential debates at least, but possibly advertising campaigns that are going to unfold in the weeks to come.
So what they're polling is people reacting to some TV images that they don't really know that much about the people. They barely hear some advertising slogans about the campaigns, and they're not focused they really don't understand where the candidates are.
I wish I could say it was a more edifying process, but it's the way Pepsi advertises against Coke. Now there's a little bit more than the ads. The debates will be a factor, and there will be other promotions going on. But yeah, that's basically how in a close election, that's the way it comes out. And it's no different than selling many other products.
Thank you very much for joining us for this series of interviews, and we'll talk again perhaps around after the debate. We'll see who won.
You bet.
Thank you.